Hi. Welcome to Joy Phido International. So, what do we stand for? What we stand for is let's start thinking. Let's start thinking. Because what's been happening is for generations, we Africans, we black people, we stopped thinking. We basically allowed other people to think for us. So I'm kind of waking us up, encouraging us to please rise up and allow our minds to think, so that as we think, we start to create a better life for ourselves and our people. So let's start thinking. That's what Joy Phido International stands for. So my name is Joy Phido and welcome on board. So what's my title today? You know, when I come here, I am more than excited to share with you anything I know. Because this thing called knowledge, there was a time I thought, okay, my slogan is going to be knowledge. We all know, everybody says knowledge is power. But power is knowledge. Or knowledge is empowerment. So once you have knowledge, you have power. That's how easy it is. You see, what causes problem is ignorance. And even the Bible says it. My people suffer for lack of knowledge. And I tell you, so many people have been dealing with us for centuries because we are ignorant. So if we start thinking, we'll better our lives. You remember that book? I don't know if you ever read it, Think and Grow Rich? He wasn't telling you the minute you think you'll be rich. But he was trying to tell us that people who think, they find answers to their problems. So my title today is about knowledge. I know I talk about knowledge all the time, but I'm seeing knowledge in a different light right now. And I call it knowledge property rights. Now, I'm sure you've heard about what they call intellectual property. Intellectual property is about how you think, and from your intelligence, you come up with ideas. You come up with what they call innovation and invention. And when you've been able to use your thoughts to create something, suddenly that is your right. And when they say right, the more I begin to look at knowledge, the more it is absolutely amazing. Because you see how you have a house, and that's your property. Or you have a car, and that's your property. You own it. It is yours. Maybe you bought it with your money, then that's yours. Or maybe you're mortgaging it is yours until you finish paying. Or you're leasing it is yours until whatever you decide to do with it. Knowledge is exactly the same thing. What you know is yours. And so when you put your knowledge together, when you package your knowledge, when you structure your knowledge, it is your right. Do you see how it works? So that's why I call it knowledge right. What is knowledge? What do you know? So know. I know this. And when I understood so much about knowledge, I got so excited. Because I know so many things. I know how to braid hair, which I've been teaching for so long. I know how to weave hair. I know how to put macro, extensions in hair. I know how to travel to different parts of the world. I know about traveling and all the things that go with it. I know about fashion. I know about products that will help hair grow and products that would, soften hair. So all of those are my knowledge. And I wouldn't know that was so important if I didn't find out about this. And that's why people have been deceiving us for centuries. Because the things we knew, or the things we know, which is our culture, our ways of doing things, they stopped us from appreciating those things. They gave us this impression that what we know is wrong. Your knowledge is primitive. Your knowledge is a cake. Your knowledge, they started doing this to us. This is what some people call brainwashing. And I have a book on it called Brainwashed. Tom Borrell. Or, which I've shown in another video, miseducation. So what they did was they messed around with what we know, the things we know, the things we could call our own, the things that were in our own hands. And they made us lose interest in those things. They made us feel like those things were inferior. And because they gave us that picture, we let go of our knowledge. You see where we went wrong? That's why the Bible said, my people suffer for lack of knowledge. Because you don't know that what you have is important, is useful, is very, very, it's amazing and people want it. I tell you, people start, after I made braiding what it is, I pushed as much in some YouTube videos, and people started learning from how, teaching them how to do it. Now celebrities are wearing it. I've had to actually go behind the scenes to create braiding skills or braiding service on celebrities, and you know what happened? The same thing. I'm talking about intellectual property. The foolish man, I will call him foolish because he was extremely foolish, who got me to come and do the work, goes around claiming that my braiding work was his work. So I know about people stealing your intellectual property. I did the work. But of course, ignorantly, I didn't know what was going on. I said, it's fine. And then I realized the value of my knowledge. Maybe this is not the end of this particular story I'm telling you, because with time I know what I could do with it. Because that's what's been happening. That's why you hear people saying culture misappropriation or culture appropriation. You go, you take people's knowledge, you pretend it's yours. They do that with braids. They'll call it boxer braids. It is still braids. They'll call it, they will change the name. There was one I saw recently. It was going, yes, this happened again. I think it was with the footballers, the British or English women football team. And so I don't know how they did it, and they went and created some cornrows, a few cornrows on these players, because according to them, I actually, did I put it on I think I did put it on Instagram. If you follow us on Instagram, World of Braiding. And so they did a few cornrows, and then they called it English braids. And everyone went crazy. What are you talking about? This is what they call culture misappropriation, or this is called what they call stealing intellectual property. It's like, when musicians play music and then somebody comes and use their music. You can't do that even with YouTube. You can't. You take somebody's music, you put on your video, YouTube will tell you, this is somebody else's work. You should either give credit to that person or you don't use that video. And so that's what knowledge is about. So I need to bring this message to you because you need to know the value of the knowledge you have. Anything you know how to do is your property. Anything you know how to do is your right. And this is where Joy Phido International is coming around to tell you, let's start thinking. This is your creativity. Anything you can do is unique to you. If you dream it up, like when people come here to learn how to braid from me, and I'm guiding them and I'm saying, you can change the colors, you can change the length, you can change the texture of the hair. That's your uniqueness. You could stand out and say, this is what I enjoy doing. And you do it in your own way. That's your intellectual property. That's your knowledge property. So what is this great thing about knowledge? Where even the Bible tells us the first thing we should look for is knowledge. You know, think about it. If you're a parent, your child is going somewhere on a trip. You know how we get excited as parents. Have you taken this? Have you taken that? Do you have this? Do you have that? You know, the typical, like you're going on a trip. You say, check, 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 check. Suitcase check. Passport check. Your shoes check. Your this check. Now, when we are coming to this earth, this is spirituality now. When we're coming to this earth as human beings, God puts in all of us some uniqueness. And this is why you shouldn't be so general. This is why I know I went to a workshop once where the guy says, all of us are struggling, are trying so hard to fit in when we were meant to be unique. We were meant to be different. That's the knowledge God gave to us. Each of us, we have something. Every one of us. So you do not hand over your bit and say, but I don't know what to do. Every time I hear people say, I don't even know who I am. Okay, go and find yourself first. Because there's something you enjoy doing. There is something that when you're doing it, is like play to you. There's something that you don't need anyone to guide you because you can just do it freely. And sometimes, even if you can do it freely, all you then need is just a little bit of tweak here and there. When you hear that thing, you jump. You're not bored. You're not tired. You could do it all night. You could do it all day. You could be sleeping and doing it. That's that unique thing that God gave to you. And so all you need to do now is go and improve on it so you can package it well. That's knowledge. That's passion. So that passion that you have about that thing, you can use it to groom that thing. It becomes amazing. But you see, as a people, as a race, black people, where we went wrong is when this whole colonization thing, colonialism thing came up, and then slavery came up, we were carted away. When I say we, I don't mean I was, but black people were carted away from Africa, and then they lost their culture. How did you lose it? Because while there, these slave masters started beating into their head, that is wrong, that is barbaric, that is wrong, that's so okay, that's primitive, don't do it, don't do it. What then happened? With time, our people lost it all. We lost it. So things we knew how to do, we didn't know how to do it anymore. And you know what's funny? I can tell you this clearly. What's funny as an African is, while we, the Africans, are looking up to the blacks in America, we're thinking, oh yeah, they know what they're doing. And they don't even know what they're doing. They don't belong anywhere. Because they can't take on the typical, I don't even know what to call America. Because America doesn't belong to anybody. Apart from the black Americans or the black Indians or the local Americans, so to say. The rest are all people from different places that congregate to make up that country. And yet, they have this madness of making blacks feel inferior because they were carted away as slaves. So, we the Africans are looking up to them. And they are looking up to us, Africans. But see, because we are looking up to them, we have equally lost our culture. We have equally lost who we are, because we are thinking what they are doing is best. So let's go and imitate it, not knowing we're losing who we are. I'm telling you, it makes me laugh, because I see my fellow Africans, and 2 days ago in America, they start pretending to speak American accent. What is that? What sense does that make? Then you get home to your people, you suddenly act, you can't understand what they're saying anymore, because there's some mentality that's been screwed up. They made you clean yourself. And I tell you, years ago, not years ago, I've had people commenting on my videos telling me nonsense. Your accent, I don't understand it. Do I understand yours? Or do you come and learn my language? I had to reply and say, you know what? You're lucky I can speak English, because you would not make any effort to speak my dialect. So if I can speak what you can understand at all, be grateful with that. I'm not here to change me to suit you, because that's what it is. So hold on to the knowledge you have and learn more. Pick up as much knowledge as you can. What types of knowledge are out there? Know-how. Know-how. What is know-how? How do they make this? How do they make that? How can I make this? When I'm saying how can I make, if you are into food, you want to know how they make all various types of dishes. And I do videos on cooking. So if you love cooking, and let's say it was African dishes you like to make, it is all there on YouTube. People are doing it all over the place. I do it. I know so many channels that do it. How to make akara balls, how to make moi moi, how to make egusi soup, how to make okra soup. How? That's know-how. That's knowledge. Know-how. And then there's know why. Why is this? Why is that? So the next thing I'm asking us now is we should question more. Let's learn to question. Because as a people, we stopped questioning. We just follow like fools. And the biggest part where we follow like fools, and I can tell you clearly, is religion. Seriously, religion is not spirituality. Because people are hiding under religion and suppressing our people again. I mean, how do you explain people coming to tell this poor old widow who probably doesn't even have any money to come and put money as tithe in church? My question is, God owns the world. God is rich. God does not need your money. What God needs from you is your heart. As a spiritual person, Christianity and Christian that I am, Jesus never gave money to anybody. Jesus, our greatest leader as a Christian, never discussed money. He said, give Caesar what belongs to Caesar and give God what belongs to God. Jesus fed the crowd. He did not collect money from them. So why are churches making it a big deal? Big deal to collect tithe off every member of the church. And you know what they then do? Go and buy themselves private jets. The Bible says it will be difficult for you, rich man, to think of getting into heaven if all you want to think about is your worldly wealth. Because you know they think with worldly wealth, I mean, absolutely nothing is wrong with being rich if you can work hard for it. When you make worldly wealth your God, because people who behave like that are now looking at their wealth as their God. When you do leave this earth, you do not go with a penny. It's your spirit that leaves the earth. But meanwhile, you frustrated all these people so that you can accumulate all they have and put in your own pocket. Which one is the richest church in the world? Catholic Church. But Then when you go to Catholic church, does anybody stress you to bring tithe? It is at your own choice. I go to Catholic church. It's my choice. And when I don't feel like, nobody tells me you have to. Yet it's the richest church in the world. So why do people have to suppress their own people in the name of religion? Because as far as I'm concerned, they are not serving God. I know I shouldn't judge, but seriously, it hurts me to see my own people suffering because some few individuals want to use them. So we need to get back on track and not allow people to use our brain, because this is where it's getting wrong. Our thinking has been flawed. We can't think. People need to invest the money they are investing every day in that church in themselves, so they can wake up in the morning and think new ideas and think new thoughts, new ways of doing things. In another video, I was just talking about serving your community. How do you serve your community if all you want to do is beg? How? You should be making contribution to your community, not take away. Because if all you want to do is take, who is going to give to the community? Who will? You know, there's that passage in the Bible that says, the more you give, the more you receive. You know how this so-called churches interpret that to the people? The more you give money in church, the more God will give you. How foolish is that? How foolish is that? Because it wasn't about giving in church. The more you give out there to people in the sense of investing in your community, the more you're going to get back. The more you put value in your community, the more people pay you back. The more you contribute to your community. You give knowledge, you give skills, you give information, you give education, you give products, services. The more you put that into your community, the more your community will give you back. So if you got that passage wrong, the more you give, the more you receive. Go and give. You know, I saw a video, interesting. I saw a video recently where this man went to America. Some Nigerian preacher, pastor, was asking for $5,000 per person in church. And they did the maths of what he was expecting to get. Because he's telling them, the more you give, the more you receive. So he was thinking people were going to jump up and be giving him $5,000 each. For what? Is God for sale? Our God is not for sale. God owns the whole world. So this is what we need to start thinking. Let's start thinking. If somebody is telling you a whole lot of cock and bull, you need to interpret it. You need to sit down and read your Bible and let God speak to your spirit. Let God speak to your spirit. Don't be so dumb and so stupid and you allow somebody to be preaching nonsense into your thinking and you accept it. You become so gullible and you take it. We need to think. We need to put that money we're throwing away into ourselves, into our education, into our knowledge, into our skills. Because the more knowledge you put into yourself, the more you can give to your people as well. So you can see that I come here and I chat with you about things. It didn't just happen. It didn't just happen. I'm constantly reading. There's an interesting, this is where knowledge then became even more clearer to me. There's a topic, modeling, the course I'm doing, and they call it personal and professional development. So life is constantly changing. Right now they call it the knowledge revolution. things are changing every day. Society is changing every day. Now we're watching YouTube. We never had that before. Now we're doing WhatsApp and talking to each other without having to pay silly money for phone calls to international countries. Now we're getting what do they call it? Budget airlines take you from country to country. Our phones now have cameras that people are not even using the proper cameras anymore. So that's what they call the technology revolution. And some people call it knowledge revolution. So you go on social media, you see all kinds of things. You go on YouTube, you see all kinds of things. You go on Snapchat. The children, the young ones love their Snapchat. You go on Instagram. Things are constantly changing. And I tell you, even on Facebook, it's like every two days or one day, what you saw in the morning on Facebook, you will not see in the evening. It's so funny. I have iPad, I have laptop, I have phone, and I'm connected on Facebook on the 3 platforms. But I tell you, if I look on my iPad, is a different look on Facebook. Same thing on the phone, a different look. Same thing on my tablet, my laptop, a different look. That's how fast technology is changing. And so, if you are living in this time, you are not going to grow if you don't run as fast as the technology is changing. Do you get what I'm saying? And so if we live in a community where we don't know what's happening in the world is leaving us behind. The world is moving on us and leaving us behind. So that's why it is so important to improve on your knowledge. To seek knowledge is a big message you need to get. Because when God guides me, I share it with you. It is very important that if you want to grow, if you want people around you to grow, guide them. Share this video with your friends. Technology is running ahead. Knowledge is running ahead. You need to run with it. So when I realized that, I thought, oh my goodness, this is what is going on. We've been left behind. And the truth is, nobody's going to make it their business to teach you what's happening. And you know what they called it was learning to learn. You have to be prepared to learn. You have to teach yourself to learn. One of the things again was lifelong learning. It's like you can never say you've learned enough. No. Because if things are changing every day, at what stage do you say, you know what, I don't want to learn anymore? You have to keep learning. It says you have to learn till you die. Because that's just the way life is. Life, what occurred to me the other day, you know how they say the earth is spinning on its axis? The earth is constantly rotating. So if that's happening, that's how knowledge is happening too. So you cannot sit in one place and say, you know what, I've had enough now, I'm not learning anymore. You're basically saying, God, that's enough now, you can take me out, I'm done. So knowledge is power. Knowledge is empowerment. And your knowledge is your property. So the sooner you take control of your property and protect it and guide it and use it to your advantage, the better. No more sitting down there and let people mess around with your thinking. No more allowing people to tell you that what you know is ignorant or is primitive or is a cake. What you know, you know. Build on it. Hold on to it. Use it to your own advantage. Because what I find is if you allow other people to lead you in their knowledge, you will continue to be second fiddle. You will never be first. But when you stand and take stand on something and say, this one is mine, I want to be the best in that, you will be the head of that. You will be the leader of that. And there's a Bible passage that really gets to me, which is in Deuteronomy 28. It says, I will make you the head and not the tail. And that really excites me. Because when you are good at something, no one can lead you in that. You become the leader. And you want to be leader in something. So knowledge is important for you to get ahead. I'm going to leave it here. Rich people have always grabbed onto knowledge to lead. So if we want to catch up with them, we need to grab onto our knowledge and push it to the next level. Share this video to your friends. Subscribe if you haven't, because there's so much more coming your way. Like it. So much more will be coming. So I'm going to leave you on this particular one, and thank you so much for watching. Let God continue to bless you abundantly.